you're not familiar with Bussey Break, it has a lot of big bass. With one, I think, last year being caught during the spawn period, which is coming up, was like 15 pounds and I don't know, somewhere up in there. It was big. There was a 14 pounder, 12 pounder, and a couple other ones caught out of there. I've never caught anything over 6.5, so I want to get out there and I want to make sure that I bring in a lunker or a Gina or whatever you want to call them, but I want to catch a big bass. But in order to do that, I want to make sure I'm prepared. So I'm going to spend the next, I don't know, hour just making sure my equipment's probably taken care of and up to speed. And then back here in my swimming pool, I'm going to go out there and make some casts just to make sure everything's working properly. So stay tuned as I get some of this stuff cleaned up. Oh, that is a big one, y'all. Oh, that is a giant.
Oh my goodness, Daddy, help me.
Get it?
Bud, this is cat here.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of That's Cat, where I'm here just to kind of do something a little bit different. We're not catching fish today. We are actually going to talk about what you got to do in order to prep to catch fish. And I'm not talking about the proper lures. I'm talking about your equipment. All right. One thing that I found out last time on one of my videos is that I didn't properly test my battery. And then when I got out there to try my new electronic, my battery lasted about 15 minutes. And then we spent the rest of the time trying to figure out where the fish were. And it wasn't something I was prepared for or the conditions I was used to. I don't want to make that mistake again. I'm getting ready to go to Bussey Break, which is a very nice reservoir up here in North Louisiana, in Bastrop, Louisiana. And before I go, I want to make sure that everything is good with my equipment. And what I mean by that is my reels and my rod. I picked this reel up right here, and I've noticed in a couple of my videos it's been making a lot of noise. It's not something that I like, and when you get out there and you're trying to film and you're talking, what people are really hearing is your reel. And they're probably saying, well, this dude's probably not that good because his reel's not even properly greased. So that's one thing that I'm going to take care of with all of my reels today. I'm just going to take some real oil and some real grease, and I'm just going to go in there and put what I can in there and see if I can, alleviate these noises and get that done. But as I was also going through, I realized that I was missing an eye on one of my rods. Right. So luckily that eye was still on my line that I had on there, and I'm going to repair that. So I'm going to go through all of my rods, make sure all of this stuff is taken care of, and everything is set before I take an important trip like going out on Bussey Break. All right, now let's see if this reel sounds a little bit better. I think it does, and I think that's going to make it a little bit better for us when we're out on the water. The biggest thing is just making sure your equipment is taken care of. I'm not a bass pro. I'm not a sponsored channel to where I get a lot of things. I have money, but I also have two daughters. One in college, one getting ready for college. I have things that I have to take care of that's more important or more of a responsibility than fishing, so I don't have the money to spend on new equipment every day. So what I have to do in order to maintain what I would call a healthy fishing environment is I got to take care of my equipment. So I got to take the equipment that I have, take care of it, and make sure that it works when I go out there to do what I enjoy. I don't know, maybe all of this is just a military thing. I've just been so used to taking care of my equipment in the military that it's something that I have to do just to make sure everything works out. In the military, if you don't have your equipment properly function checked, clean, and ready to go, you never know what's going to happen to you when you're out there trying to do your job. And that doesn't matter whether you're an engineer like me or an infantryman or 42 Alpha. I don't know. You gotta take care of your equipment. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you with this eye, this is not the proper way to do it, but this is my way of doing it. I'm one of those guys where duct tape and super glue fixes everything. So we're gonna super glue this in there. Hope this works. Alright, that slid in there just right. We'll put a little extra around it too, just to make sure. Alright, that's cat. That's cat. Alright, let's get to these other reels. Alright, number 2 down, 6 more to go. Alright, on this one I think I got more grease on me than I did the reel. Alright, 3-6 guys. Alright guys, when I started back bass fishing about 2 years ago, just want to let y'all know, I had 2 rods and I had 2 reels that I used when I was in high school. So that puts those about 24, 25 years old. Anyway, this was one of the rods that I used, and you can tell on this rod I'm missing an eye here. But I still use it because it just reminds me to take care of my things, and if you do, it'll last a long time. So for this rod to be that old, I've caught a lot of fish on it, and I'm just happy to have it still in my arsenal. So I thought that was pretty cool. Alright, looks like my wife may be on, and I may be getting caught putting all this all over the table. Dang. Okay guys, with this one I can't seem to figure out how to get that clicking out, so I'm gonna have to take this one apart.
Really, Brett?
What, put them on your table?
No.
I told you what I was doing. Alright, let's see how it sounds. Sounds a lot better than it did. Oh, that was the last one. Let's get these put on and see how they cast. Alright guys, so we got out there and made the cast. Everything worked perfectly. But I want to go over one last thing before we go. Old line, you don't need it. Need to swap it out. So I'll show you the best way that I do it. So we know that most line is very expensive, so if you're going out there, what I tend to do is I will fill a half a my spool on my reel with an 8 to 10 pound monofilament or cheap line that you can get at Walmart. Once I do that, then I actually take my expensive fluorocarbon or whatever you use and then fill that rod up. So I have more fluorocarbon to use later when I need to swap these out. So just a helpful little tip as you get ready to go out there for the pre-spawn spawn. You can do this, save some line, save some money. And when I take the 2 lines that I'm putting together, what I do is I use an Alberto knot to tie those together, and then I just fill that reel up. Just a tip when you're tying your Alberto knot, make sure all your wraps come from the smaller line, not the larger line. That way there's not a big knot in your spool when you're casting and reeling in. Okay, wet it down and pull. Alright guys, hopefully this episode reminded you that you need to get your equipment ready and make sure that you're ready to go out there and catch the big bass of the season, maybe even your PB, or just have a whole lot of luck catching some fish. So appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Better clean this off before Cassie sees what I did.